It's a cold winter night, like most in our snowy village, and we've all come to our local library thanks to a small green flyer passed around the day before. It seems that the real Santa has decided to hold a town get-together and has invited everyone to attend. This event is all anyone has been talking about, so it's no wonder the place is already packed when we arrive 20 minutes before the official start time. Along with me is my son, Ryan, who is 9, and my daughter, Rebecca, who is 7, both practically bouncing off the walls and haven't stopped pelting my wife, Rosaline, and I with questions. As a seasoned parent, I reply to most of their inquiries with, "We'll have to wait and see." I, too, have many questions, but the best journalists know when to ask and when to patiently wait for the answers to reveal themselves. Tonight will be a test in patience for us all. Our favorite librarian, Mrs. Yazzie, is greeting everyone at the door and helping direct traffic. We hang our coats, go to the restrooms, and get in line for hot chocolate and various treats lining the 5 tables in the back. Mrs. Yazzie is dressed up in her favorite Christmas sweater, a delightfully ugly red and white number, covered in Christmas lights that pop out and a T-Rex holding a sign that says, "I rar for books." Bells twinkling at her ears and a glow about her I usually only see when she's engulfed in a book. It seems the wonder and mystery of tonight has made everyone luminous. We've located our spots on the floor, complete with pillows and blankets galore, making it the most comfortable floor campout I've ever been to. Snacks in hand, and the last rush to the bathroom done, we all settle into our spots, ready for Santa to show. Ryan and Rebecca are snuggled between my wife and me, and with my pen in hand, I hear the familiar deep rumble and jolly exclamation, "Ho, ho, ho!" followed by screams, cheers, and happy shrieks of Santa! Watching my own children light up and become part of the magic brings a warmth and happiness to my heart that's hard to explain. Immediately, their faces light up, and with big bright eyes, they looked at my wife and I in awe, both loudly exclaiming, "It's Santa! He's really here!" We all laughed, cheered, and clapped in a warm welcome for Santa, and eventually settled enough to hear what he had to say. Dressed in his famous red suit, complete with a full white beard, gold buckle, and coal-colored buttons, Santa made his way to the big comfy throne chair set in the middle of the room. He gave hugs, shook hands, and gave a smile that reached his twinkling eyes to all that he passed. We were all enchanted. As everything calmed down and people settled into their blankets, Santa took off his hat and sat down in his chair. "Welcome to all of you," he boomed in his deep voice. "I am so happy you could be here with me tonight. This evening will be incredibly special. I thought it might be fun to take a short break from Operation Christmas and share a few of my stories. Each of you will get a chance to ask me one question, so be thinking on it. However, tonight is not just for the little ones. Parents, you should be thinking of a question as well. The magic of Christmas is not just reserved for the young, for you are all my family, and I yours. Now, let us begin." There was an electricity in the air that's hard to describe as Santa started to tell his first story. To be sure, though, every soul was listening, and he had our undivided attention. With a big gesture of his hands, Santa began. Of my favorite stories to tell, and the one I'm often asked, is how I became Santa Claus. I am very old and was born a long time ago indeed, in what is now known as the Republic of Turkey, in Mira, on a cold night just like this one, December 6th to be exact. My parents were a lovely couple that had wished upon the northern star for me every night. I entered this world as the first snowflakes fell and found myself in a home full of warmth, magic, and love. I was given the name Nicholas, and I felt cherished every day. Sadly, my parents passed away when I was only 9 years old, but not before they instilled within me the love and gratitude they had for life and in helping others. I vowed to uphold their memories by bringing kindness and magic to the world, as they so often did. They were kind, thoughtful, generous, and loving. I was and will always be their son and uphold our family values and traditions. I often helped the people of my village, sharing meals with those who had nothing to eat, and was always the first to lend a helping hand. I befriended animals throughout our lands by nursing them back to health and feeding them along my walks. I could usually be found chatting up with the squirrels of the forest or checking in with the seagulls on the coast. I went to school like everyone else at the age of 11. I was accepted into the same school that my father attended. There are many specialty schools throughout the world that focus on magic, and mine was in the Scottish Highlands. This is how a lot of the magic of Christmas has come about. I learned all the basic things you would, like how to fly, levitate objects, and the ability to apparate. By far my favorite is the undetectable extension charm I use on my Santa bag, so that it can hold all the presents for children around the world without getting any bigger than its original size. I went through many years of schooling, coming back to Mira on holidays, and as the years passed, I learned and flourished. It was my last year of school, and during the last holiday break, that I was given the title of Saint Nicholas. It should be said, my home in Turkey is surrounded by the sea. The Black Sea to the north is nearly impossible to swim in because of the high amount of salt in the water. People who swim in the Black Sea actually float on the surface of the water. The Mediterranean Sea to the south is home to the Greek tortoise, the great hammerhead shark, and the intelligent bottlenose dolphins. I was old enough at this point to be allowed to fly and had mostly mastered the art of it. It's much faster to fly from Scotland to Turkey than it is by horse or boat. I tend to stay high out of view so as not to startle any non-magical people, but this unusual evening the winds were gusting from all directions, and a storm had taken over. I would be safer at a lower altitude. The ocean was choppy, and huge waves could be seen, so most sailors would have made it to a safe cove by now to wait it out. You can imagine my surprise when I see lights off in the distance. smack in the middle of the ocean. I slowed down and drew myself closer. Something in me knew they were in desperation. As I got closer, I could hear the yelling of orders from the captain and the groaning of the ship. This was a time before emergency lights, alarms, and radios. The ships were wooden, and so, when damaged, elicit a strange groaning from the wood. High-pitched snaps could be heard as part of the ship broke away. I dropped down onto the center of the ship, facing the bow and captain. From there I could see sharp rocks jutting out of the side of the ship. They had run aground. I felt the rough seas pushing the ship further into the dangerous rocks beneath my feet and knew they were in trouble. The sailors, shocked by my sudden appearance, backed away and looked to their captain in disbelief. I hadn't thought what my immediate presence would look like to them, and to be honest, we didn't have the time to worry about it. I looked to the captain, and he held my gaze. Questions burned in his eyes as well as the realization that we had more important matters at hand. A brief second passed as we both understood the dire situation. If we didn't get them off these rocks and into deeper water, the ship would be battered to splinters, and the sailors would be lost to the sea. Without another thought, we jumped into action. Together, we retied and strengthened the ropes, holding the masts, and worked with poles to pry the ship away from the threatening rocks. It felt as if it took hours to accomplish. Everyone gave all the energy they had, and we were chilled to the bone from the freezing waves. Pushing against the rocks with our giant poles, it seemed we weren't making any progress. So I looked to my left and to my right, made sure I wouldn't be seen, then twinkled my nose just enough to send magic through my pole. It shot off with a strength I hadn't meant to use, and in seconds we were off the rocks. A loud grinding sound could be heard as the ship scraped itself off the rocks and into the raging ocean. Cheering could be heard as we accomplished the arduous task of rescuing the boat from imminent danger. As soon as the ship was freed and all the sailors were at their stations, I vanished, staying within the area to make sure they were able to set sail before finishing my travels home. Unbeknownst to me, the ship took refuge in the safety of a harbor. Not just any harbor, though. They happened to be in Mira, my hometown. The sailors were grateful and humbled to be on solid ground again. Imagine their surprise when they saw my face among the people in attendance. With whispered chattering and feet scuffling, they pointed me out to their captain. I was unaware of this, so when he appeared before me, I was taken aback. The captain looked deep into my eyes, as if to clarify for himself that it truly was their savior from the stormy night before. I was a little shocked myself, and ended up staring back at him, my mouth a little agape. Happy to see them alive? Confused that they were here? What were the odds that they would end up in my little village harbor? All that passed in a second, as the captain asked me how I had heard them and been able to come to their rescue. I replied simply that a life devoted to others allows a person to be so clear-sighted as to be able to see others in danger and hear their calls for help. They told the whole town what had transpired, and it wasn't long before I was given the title Saint Nicholas. I was humbled and honored. It seems as though the accomplishments I've built so far were being recognized, and I hoped others would follow in my footsteps of giving and serving others. Sailors reached out to me in times of danger, and with my magical abilities, I was able to hear their pleas for help. As the times went on and ships became safer and accompanied with more electronics, their need for my help waned. My love for helping others did not, however. It only grew. I traveled further beyond my school and beyond my home country of Turkey. In each place, I discovered new languages, new people, new customs, and beliefs. There were different religions and ways of dress, along with the most magical diversities in music, food, and art. In Dutch, my name is Sinterklaas. In France, I'm Pierre Noel. And in England, I'm Father Christmas. I look different to each person and speak many dialects. I became Santa Claus when I decided to help not only those in my town, or country or school. I became Santa Claus when I decided to help the whole wide world. For my name means hero of the people, and that is my life's calling.